Okay, so today is 2.3 function composition. Again, we're going to be dealing with graphs, so I would highly encourage you to get the guided notes. The first thing that we're going to be doing is let's actually define what a function composition is, okay? So composition of functions means combining together two or more functions where the output of one function becomes the input of the next one. So essentially, we're going to be dealing with two functions, okay? So there's going to be some specific notation that you see. So one type of notation is just the normal like function notation that you're used to, right? So what this is saying is you're going to first start with g of x, and then whatever you get as your answer, you're going to input it to f of x, right? So you're always going to start on the right. And this will make way more sense when we actually do a problem. Another way to write it is like this. So again, this means f of g of x. And again, you just start on the right and then you go to the left. So you always start on the right and then you go from there, okay? So let's actually try a problem so that you understand what's happening. So we're given two functions. We're given f of x and g of x. And we're being asked to find f of g of 3. So remember, we're going to start on the right. The rightmost function is g of 3. So we're going to be starting by finding g of 3. So that means we're going to plug in 3 into this function. So I'm going to get 3 instead of x, 3 plus 2. And that's going to give me 9 plus 2, which is 11. So this is my output, right? So what's going to happen is I'm going to take this output and I'm going to plug it. It's going to become my input for the next function. So the next function is f. Right? So I'm now going to find f of 11, right? So whatever the output is, it becomes the input. So I'm going to now deal with f. So I'm going to have 11 squared minus 1, which is 121 minus 1, which is 120. So my final answer is 120. Okay, so let's try another one. So again, we're starting with the rightmost function, which is f of negative 2. So I'm going to first find f of negative 2. So again, I'm using f. So I'm going to have negative 2 squared minus 1, right? This is going to become 4 minus 1, which is 3. This is going to become my input for the next function. So I'm going to have g of 3, right? So I'm going to plug it into g now. So I have 3 parentheses 3, that's going to give me 11. So this is my final answer. Okay? Next, we're doing f of negative 2. So again, the rightmost function is f of negative 2. So I'm plugging it into my f function. So I have negative 2 squared minus 1, which is 4 minus 1, which is 3. Now, if you look, the next function is f again. So now I'm finding f of 3. That's right? Because this again is f. So I'm going to plug it into the f function. So I'm going to have 3 squared minus 1, which is 8. So this is my final answer. Pause this video, try this yourself. Pause the video and try it yourself. Okay, hopefully you tried it. You should have first done g of 3, which should have given you 11. And then you should have done g of 11, which should have given you 35. So 35 would be your final answer. If you have any questions, come ask us, okay? So function compositions can happen with equations and it can happen with graphs, okay? The process is the same. So here we're given two graphs. We're given f of x and we're given g of x. Again, we're always going to start from the right with here. So the rightmost function is g of 3. So first I'm finding g of 3. So I'm finding, this is, essentially I'm finding what is my y when x is 3 in g of x. So at 3, I have this point, 3 comma 2. So my y value is 2, right? So this was my y value. This is now going to become my input for the next one. So my next function is f, so I'm going to be finding now f of 2, right? So whatever I get here becomes my input. So now I'm dealing with my f graph. And again, I'm looking for my y when x is 2. So at 2, I'm going to go down here. The point is 2 comma negative 4. So when x is 2, my y is negative 4. So this right here is my final answer, okay? So if you have questions, because I went through this kind of quickly, you should raise your hand and ask them. Otherwise, you can move on to practice.